Welcome, everyone, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is the ultimate pro wrestling podcast created by fans for the fans. This is episode 112. I'm your host, collector, barber, musician, and most importantly, a professional wrestling podcaster, Talk Wrestling Tim Gilbert. And finally, I'm back. The boys are back in town with my hosts.
It's the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Steelers fan, Funko Pop collector, Booker, Andy.
And I'm also your host, the No Selling Wrestling Indie fan and football lover, Jeremy. Kind of threw me off now that we're all three back.
I know. We're all back now. We have we finally got the full intro back. I wonder if the people missed it or if people were like, God, they finally gave that thing a rest. All right, everyone.
Like, that guy's finally gone.
They're like, all right, that guy's gone. Ooh, they're like, now we get a break from the other guy too. All right.
Yeah, I had to try Tim's intro last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it seems. It's not as easy as it seems. You gotta have that flow. You gotta get rolling off the tongue, baby. All right.
God.
Well, everyone, today we will be discussing and reviewing the happenings in the world of professional wrestling, including the unfortunate allegations against Chris Jericho, AEW Worlds End, MJF's AEW status, and more. Of course, stick around to the end. We're going to be talking about my classic show of the week. Normally, it's a pay-per-view. Sometimes it was an old televised event. This week, it's going to be a pay-per-view, so stick around to the end so I can give you guys that. All right, I got to knock this all out. Social media, you want to go to @thepwfan. We should pop up. We're on X. We're on we're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. The only thing we don't have is a Facebook, which people have told me that we should get. So I don't know. Maybe one day.
Really?
Yeah, dude. People are like, you got to get a Facebook. I'm like, really? Okay. I thought
a website before the Facebook.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna get an Angel Fire, a PW Fan Angel Fire.
The PW Fan Xenga account.
PW Fan MySpace
account.
MySpace.
Yeah.
So most importantly for us,
Vampire Freaks.
Vampire. Yeah, PW Fan Vampire Freaks. For us, the most important thing is either listening or watching. So whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music or any of the other ones that we're on, we really appreciate it. It also really helps us out if you go to youtube.com/@thepwfanpod, where we kindly ask you to like and subscribe. It goes a long way for helping us. And we just really appreciate anybody who does that. It's another way that we can keep in contact with you all. And for merch, we still got stuff on prowrestlingtees.com/thepwfan. 5 different shirt designs, hopefully adding some more this year. Jeremy is owed a shirt design, and there is a soccer/football jersey coming in the future. All right, Booker, Andy, this is episode 112. We have some unfortunate things to talk about. We have some fun things to talk about. I'm going to pass it over to you. Let's take it from here.
All right. To set the stage for this episode, I'll start off by saying that we will not be covering anything WWE related. WWE this week, Raw and Smackdown were both best of episodes.
It's going to be a little bit of it's going to be a bit of a shorter episode this week, so we're going to skip WWE. So
maybe it depends on how much we get into things.
Yeah, I mean,
never know.
I'm trying not to get too deep into certain things, so we'll see.
Certain things, of course, but so this week, and I think I mentioned it last week when I was with Jeremy, is that we will be covering strictly AEW this week. So let's knock the big thing out of the way first. That way, the rest of the show can have a better feel or better tone to it.
Kind of like how Worlds End should have been.
Yeah, we'll get into that mid-show later. So, what was it? Saturday morning.
This started on Christmas morning.
Wrestling fans.
Was it Christmas morning?
Well, yeah, started Christmas morning because that was from Jericho.
Jericho.
Like the whole story.
Jericho-
okay. Well, I'll let you
Jericho's
guys start because I don't remember that stuff that well.
okay. All right. I believe it was Christmas Eve or Christmas morning. Chris Jericho had tweeted at Stephen P. New, who is Jim Cornette and CM Punk and Ace Steel's lawyer and other wrestlers, and he's a good lawyer. He wins a lot of cases. He tweeted at him that he never had signed any sort of NDA ever in AEW. And I'm not exactly sure why, but Nick Hausman
Well,
decided.
at that time, sorry, Tim, I'll just say at that time he was saying that because of the brawl out stuff they were talking about, because they're like, we'll never know, and only Nick Jackson's wife is the only one that didn't sign an NDA. And then Chris Jericho, of course, was like, I didn't sign one.
Yeah, he was like, I've never signed anything. I've never signed any NDA. And then Jim Cornette / CM Punk's lawyer said, okay, great, we'll submit this into evidence or whatever, something like that. I mean, you can look up the whole exchange is like it's still up. You can see it's in a timeline, on the timeline. So at some point, Nick Hausman from the House of Wrestling responded to that tweet about just Chris Jericho saying that he never signed an NDA and said, what about the NDAs that you've made other people sign? To which Chris Jericho blocked Nick Hausman on Twitter. Then I think, what was it, the day before the pay-per-view? The AEW pay-per-view?
It was the morning of the pay-per-view.
The morning
I
of
think it was, either the morning of or like the night before, like overnight.
I woke up Saturday morning to Jeremy telling us about it.
I saw some stuff like the night before, and I was like, I don't know what this is about.
Nick Hausman was quoted in saying that.
I have the quote.
Yeah, you do the quote.
It was on his podcast with Robert Karpeles. I hope that's how you say his last name. Karpeles. Podcast is Rumor and Innuendo. And his quote was, there are issues with Chris behind the scenes where I know a lot of people who were hurt by Chris and his actions. It's very uncomfortable for me to see him lauded like he is and only having the focus on that because I do think there are a lot of questionable stories about Chris that will find their way out over time when people are ready to tell those stories. That will cast him in a very different light.
And this is Nick Hausman. This is Nick Hausman saying this.
He went on to say, I mean, Harvey Weinstein won a lot of Oscars. Harvey Weinstein produced a lot of very popular films. Harvey Weinstein is now in jail. I'm not saying that is happening to Chris, but the narrative can quickly turn if you're hiding a lot of skeletons in your closet. And then this is what made the rumors and allegations basically catch fire, as he said. So here's the deal. You don't quit the hottest federation today
did he say,
without reason.
Whoa. Hang on. We got to be careful here. This
is what he said.
No. I didn't think it was Nick Hausman that said this quote. I thought it was because everything's blurred out. When you read that quote, everything is blurred out. It said, so here's the deal, but there's no name and there's no picture.
No, sorry. No, you're right. An X account reposted an older tweet that didn't get much traction at the time. This tweet implied that Kylie Ray may have left AEW due to Chris Jericho. So, ISO Wrestling retweeted this old tweet that they did not write, but the tweet was, so here's the deal. You don't quit the hottest federation going today, AEW, without reason. I have it from people in the know that Kylie Ray was asked to go to Chris Jericho's room with the understanding that others would be there. When she got there, it was just him. He made a pass at her. No other details are given, and she freaked out. Then the same person that tweeted, there's a history with his accused behavior, by the way, and then they posted something from 4 years ago who, I guess the @ is Slay Mysterio, her name is Tori, said, sometimes I stop to wonder how many young women out there are wondering if it's safe to post about Chris Jericho yet. To which later, at 5:08 a.m., December 30th, Kylie Ray sent a heart to it this was all kind of connected with the Nick Hausman stuff. So that's what got put out there on the internet, and that's what caught fire and ignited the whole hashtag fire Jericho hashtag going around Twitter, people tweeting at Tony Khan to address this. Yeah, I mean, what else am I leaving out, guys? Anything?
I mean, the only thing for me is like,
right now it's all speculation. He has not been charged with anything.
Yeah, obviously, and
and
there's
it's all
and
alleged.
It's all alleged, and there's no details on like or anything like that. But the thing for me that really bothers me beyond the Nick Hausman and the Jericho stuff is unless it was her herself, which I don't think it was, whoever that anonymous source is that posted, so here's the deal, blah blah blah, Kylie went to the room under the whoever that person is, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we're clear that it wasn't Nick Hausman that said that. Whoever that person is essentially outed. Maybe Kylie Ray didn't want this to be out or talk about it. You know what I mean? Like maybe she would talk about it when she was ready, but now whoever that person was,
and
put
when
her
Nick Hausman stuff, that tweet, and then it was just like Nick Hausman stuff was the catalyst for that repost to come out.
Well, because Nick
it gave that person like a reason to be like, all right.
Nick Hausman never said Kylie Ray. The person that said Kylie Ray was that anonymous tweet with their face and their picture and their
Nick Hausman basically all he said was that there are stories about Chris Jericho.
So he knew stuff, which
he never said names specifically.
He knew stuff, and people are
he's not his business to put out there. So maybe he's just like, I'm not.
But he's facing his own backlash for potentially knowing stuff and not he's got his own stuff going on. So we're not gonna get on that. But my thing is, I don't know whoever that person was. Like they, maybe Kylie like was like, hey, like this isn't something that I want to talk about right now or make public on Twitter, and now the whole world, including us, is talking about it on a podcast. It's like, and we have to do it because it's part of we cover pro wrestling. We've been doing it for 112 episodes. It would be I didn't want to touch on this, but we have to.
And the thing that I think is kind of disappointing and makes me I don't know, I like it sucks because it's almost like you're not surprised by this in the wrestling industry, especially from like the older guy wrestlers. I mean, you just look at Ric Flair. I mean, I know nothing's proven or anything like that yet, but it's just, I don't know. It's like this whole wrestling industry, I feel like needs to change on this a lot, and I think it is, especially this generation now. But like, I don't know. It's tough to watch now for me, at least. Like knowing how those wrestlers are as a human being, to watch and like really enjoy things, and you're like, like they're doing horrible things backstage,
I don't think that there's many left from from that era. There's a few. The few that are left seem to be pretty with it and like current. You had Punk, out there wearing equal rights and trans rights shirts, and like he seemed to be.
And like Edge and Christian, I'm sure.
Yeah, and like I don't think that look, Edge is and it's public knowledge. Like Edge is like definitely made mistakes in his past, and he's changed, and he's a dad and a good husband now, and like things happen, people change, but that kind of thing, just can't be, just can't be happening. It's not good. So. I get what you're saying, Jeremy. I feel like the changing of the guard is almost fully complete, where there was a mentality that's, and not just in wrestling. I think I'm a big music guy. I play in bands. Band dudes, same thing as wrestlers. There's a weird mentality.
There's been so many times guys I like in bands, I'm like, God.
It's the same thing.
It just comes out. I'm like, what? I was like, why?
We call it getting hard canceled. Like, you find out some stuff that you're like, of course, it's like you're not surprised, but it's like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe you guys actually did that. But I think that this, like you're saying, this younger generation, and look, I like I'm like all old men. There's some things that like get on my nerves with the Gen Z stuff, but at the same time, like I do give them credit for being. I think they're a more kind group of individuals and more accepting to just people and
There's more
knowing.
good than bad.
Yeah,
Is what
and
you're
they
saying.
and they know, and they're not afraid to, like, if something's not right, to be like, hey, that's fucked up, you shouldn't do that, which is good. That's
Yeah,
good.
I think so too. Yeah, I think it's like getting better with each generation, but yeah, and it kind of sucks too. Like the other thing is like it's not just like AEW. I know we'll talk about like probably more later with the post media stuff, but um, just the handling of it from all wrestling promotions, I don't feel like it's been a great track record. So hopefully that changes too as like a whole. But
Well, as we know, AEW is the safest wrestling company in history. So
yeah, you know why? You know why he can say that is because AEW's only been around for 5 years. So of
yeah,
course
we'll
it is.
talk about that. We'll
The
talk
rest has
about
been around for
some of the
14
I mean,
media,
years.
some
we're
scrum
only
stuff
gonna.
after the pay-per-view.
I'm not trying to get sued by a billionaire, so I will just say that with addressing serious matters, the man had
He could do better.
Yeah, don't
a
wear the
3
gigantic
opportunities during the media
furry
scrum.
hat and a gigantic glasses on, answering the most serious questions he's ever been asked, not even more serious than the CM Punk stuff.
yeah.
All right. I'm
Where
not
did
gonna
that even
go.
come from? Like, where did he get that?
Tony
Tony Storm put it on.
came from Tony Storm.
But
Oh, okay.
I think it's one of those things
right,
where it's
so-
like, if you ask that question, it's immediately like, and if you're watching on YouTube right now,
Like, oh,
like, just picture me like I'm wearing a fur hat and sunglasses. Like, immediately you should be like,
all right, well, yeah.
like, I feel like that would be like, you should take that seriously.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
So, Jericho stuff, we had to get that out of the way because when we get to the pay-per-view, it will explain why his match and the vibe was the way it was. So instead of ending with it or something, so let's actually get into shows this week. Get a little bit more positive. So we're gonna go straight into Dynamite. Dynamite this week opened up with Jon Moxley defeating Swerve Strickland and Jay White in a triple threat to see who the winner of the Gold League would move on to the Continental Classic Finals at Worlds End. So Jon Moxley, we know, is in there. And during the same show, we would find out who Moxley would face from the Blue League. But before that, we had a Don Callis family segment. During this, they celebrated Boxing Week, which is like a Canadian holiday. I think maybe also in like England, but it's not really in America. But it takes place after Christmas.
Yeah. It's
and
usually
so-
just Boxing Day afterwards.
Yeah, but they celebrate Boxing Week, I guess, because it was 2
'Cause it
days
was on
after
Wednesday.
Christmas. Yeah. So Don Callis presented Takeshita Hobbs and Kyle Fletcher with portraits. Sammy Guevara made a return. He hit the ring, and he took exception being left out of the portraits, and felt cast aside after he had suffered a concussion. And Don Callis blamed him for getting hurt and taking maternity leave. And this would eventually lead to a beatdown on Sammy Guevara. Chris Jericho would come out, make the save, reunite with Sammy. Half of this pay-per-view on Saturday was booked this week. So this was a very rushed angle.
Yeah, and also trying to make Sammy Guevara face is never really going to happen. I feel like now. No one likes it.
Not if he continues to be aligned with Jericho.
Yeah,
but that's not going to help him.
And also, I'll just say it's kind of worse now that they're called the sex gods. Like with everything else going on. I'm like, it makes it so much worse.
I forgot that.
Les Sex
Yeah.
So
Gods.
Jericho made the save reunited.
That's what Jericho and Sammy are.
That was their old name, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Now it's like, oof.
Big Bill and Ricky Starks
Gross.
hit the ring, jumped them, and then Sting and Darby would come out to save them. So instead of the match at the pay-per-view that was supposed to be Big Bill and Ricky Starks against Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, because Kenny Omega was diagnosed with diverticulitis, it is now an 8-man tag with all those involved that I just said.
Yeah.
So then we would get to the Blue League final that I talked about. It was Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. Winner was Eddie Kingston. So at the pay-per-view in the finals for the Triple Crown Championship, it'll be Eddie Kingston versus Jon Moxley. At the end, they had a quick promo back and forth. The match was really good, Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson. I'll say that first of all.
Yeah.
Me and Jeremy did our predictions last week, and we were wrong all throughout this show. Tell you that.
Dude, Booker Andy was finally wrong?
Dude, we were way off. We were
I don't think
way off.
we got like one right, and that was just saying that's it wasn't even that right because Swerve and Keith Lee didn't even happen, but it was supposed to happen.
Dude. Andy,
Yeah.
this is honestly, if for new listeners, Andy has been notoriously pretty on the money.
Well, they also
pretty
were
good.
saying
pretty good. Like maybe one or two matches wrong, but he's pretty good. And that's crazy. You got that wrong.
me and Jeremy also had predictions for when the tag team title match was just a 2-on-2. We thought it was going to be Dolph, but then it turned into an 8-man tag.
Yeah.
I texted Andy's so good now with the predictions, and that's why we have the Booker Andy shirt available at prowrestlingtees.com/the PW But the reason why we have that, okay, we don't just call him Booker Andy. We call him that because he's right all the time. I texted him today, and I call him Chi, C-H-I. It's a long story. But anyway, I texted him. I said, Chi, is MJF, and we'll get into it later, but is MJF coming to WWE?
I don't think so.
And Andy says no, but we'll get there later. We'll see.
Because I've read more today, so we'll see. But
We're getting
who knows
worked.
what the PW insider
We getting worked?
knows.
You're getting worked.
I don't know.
Why do you want to work everybody?
I've heard
You
different-
don't,
I've
you
read
don't have
different
to
things.
work us. It's okay. You don't have to do that.
So Moxley and Kingston had a promo afterwards, and then the final segment in Dynamite I thought was awful. The ROH Tag Team Championships against MJF and Samoa Joe versus two men from the Devil, two masked men. Samoa Joe was a quote unquote attack backstage, and MJF said that he would defend them on his own. So MJF hit the ring. Two of the masked men were in the ring as basically a 2-on-1. Joe at the end though. So the Devils won the titles. Then two more Devils showed up. So I'm like, all right, well, which two Devils now are the champion? That was my one issue.
Mm-hmm.
We were only right about this, that they were going to take the titles off of Joe and MJF. That was the one thing we were right about. Joe turned on Max, which didn't really surprise me, but it was just messy. I just didn't like it, man. And
then Joe
the thing
working
popped
with
up on the screen that said, "Thanks for doing business with you." I just didn't like it.
And then Joe hits MJF with a chair.
Yeah, I give it an F. It's bad. But this was New Year's Smash, AEW Dynamite New Year's Smash.
Yeah, I feel like the show before that was pretty good. But like the main event was like, I don't know. Another thing that felt rushed, I think.
Yeah. So I was about to talk about Collision, and I was like, wait, Collision didn't happen.
Yeah. This is Rampage.
So forget that. Yeah, so Rampage, there was a Jericho and Sammy Guevara segment where, God, what? I'm trying to even think. basically apologizing for things in the past and just wanted him to team up with him. I just feel bad for Sammy in this whole situation. He returns and then it gets kind of overshadowed by everything.
Yeah. Also, MJF's Players Tribune piece that he wrote, which if no one's read it, then you probably should read it. It's pretty good. But he does also talk about every time he gets a moment, something's overshadowed by it. And he also, it's kind of funny how he mentions CM Punk in it, where he's like, a guy eating a fucking muffin.
He said, "Who I love."
Yeah,
who
he's
I
like,
wish
who I love. And then like now all of a sudden all this stuff happening when it's supposed to be MJF's moment in Long Island.
I love to hear that the champ that everybody is like all high on is like, oh yeah, by the way, I still love CM Punk. Yeah, motherfuckers.
So yeah, Jericho and Sammy mended fences and hugged it out. I think Jericho went to shake his hand and Sammy hugged him instead. So that sets up World's End. So for once, I actually watched the 0 hour. We had 4 matches. We had 3 matches. Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander. Winner was Willow. Match was fine. Crowd was still filling in. And so maybe the match was better than I thought, but crowd for me always affects how I feel about matches. I'm sure that does with
that helps
a lot of people.
Or it doesn't.
There was a promo video for, it looks like, a returning Serena Deeb. If you guys are a fan of Punk, if you remember, she was the only woman in the Straight Edge Society.
Yeah, she was
but I thought she had left the company. She's been out so long, but I read that she was just injured. But if you guys remember, if you've been keeping up with AEW in the last few years, she was basically wrestling Hikaru Shida every single week.
Yeah, she was doing that like teacher lesson thing, right?
Yeah. Then our second match was a 20-man battle royal. Winner gets a TNT title shot.
Yeah, they changed this to like a Money in the Bank thing, like whenever you want it.
Yeah. So the winner was Kill Switch, aka Luchasaurus. The entire match, I was like, I really was sold that it was going to be Danhausen. And I was kind of bummed that was going to be the case because I thought it was a waste of an opportunity. And then it was Kill Switch, and based on that, I should have seen what happened there. But Booker Andy did not.
I didn't realize that either. I didn't think of it.
And then the final match of the 0 hour was Hook defeating Wheeler Yuta in a FWW rules match. I hate Wheeler Yuta. I hate him. He was on the mic before this match. He was on the mic before the match trying to insult the town. I was just so bad,
yeah, I saw that when he was like, your team sucks, basically, and got zero reaction.
So why do they keep trying with him?
I don't. He needs a different like presentation, like gimmick, basically.
Am I the only one though that feels this way? Like about Wheeler?
I don't, like hate him.
I don't think he's that great. I wish no harm to him. I do think he's I do think he's overexposed.
And he's like, fuck this guy.
I don't hate him. I just think, look, you tried with him. Just give up and try with someone else.
For any
trying so hard with
any Mean Girls fans will understand. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Okay, it's not gonna happen. You gotta just stop.
It just, I mean, if y'all saw MJF cut a promo in Wheeler like last year or something, that's how I feel about him.
Yes,
you could put me asleep, man. Awful. All right, the main card. I thought, okay, main card. I didn't even know this match was happening. The opening match.
Oh yeah, it was like their all-star thing.
Pay-per-view's a mess. It was Brody King teaming up with Jay Lethal, Roosh, and Jay White versus Claudio Castagnoli, Mark Briscoe, Daniel Garcia, and Bryan Danielson. Winner was Claudio, Mark, Daniel, and Bryan. Daniel Garcia got the pin. Good for him. I hope they don't ruin Daniel Garcia. This is like, I feel like the last opportunity they can try and push him,
It's like the
'cause they
third
keep
time where
doing
he's
it.
like, is he a pro wrestler?
And I watched him in the media scrum, and I really like hope he gets the opportunities that, because
Yeah.
look, if you need to like figure out how people feel about him, just watch him beat Brody King from like last week.
Yeah.
People are hyped.
Feeling crazy.
So I hope they don't drop the ball with him. I hate 8-man tags. They always just seem like a mess to me. I think this one was better than the one we got later.
Oh yeah, this one
but
was so much better compared to that.
when it comes to opening matches, I mean, you can't go wrong with the star power in the match, even if the match itself is all right.
Yeah, I mean, this was just
but-
kind of like a leftover from the Continental Classic. They just put them all together.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys were in it. These
Yeah.
are the other top guys from that lost throughout the.
Yeah.
So, but for star power wise, I think that's what helped it be a strong opener.
Yeah.
After that, we had Andrade versus Miro. Now let's so Miro won. Let's talk about Andrade. His contract. It is believed that was his final match in AEW, and it is believed that he is going back to WWE. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
And
that's
Tony
pretty
Khan
smart.
even talked about that a little during the press conference. So he didn't
Yeah.
say WWE, but he
He just said he was
basically said that
done, right?
he was done, and
Yeah.
that they tried to work things out. So good.
Yeah.
I know Triple H will book Andrade better. Andrade was
Yeah.
another one of his guys during his time in NXT.
Yeah.
That's when I started to really like Andrade, was when he was champion.
Oh yeah,
And then
those
he got
NXT
called up,
matches.
and
Yeah,
Yeah, he got called
he
up.
had
That was when
match with
I mean,
Malachi.
he got
Him
called
and
up
Malachi
though
was
when
good.
Vince was there still, so he got kind of ruined.
Yeah, he was in the Rumble one year as the NXT champion. I remember.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of this
I
stuff is in the
also like
it's in the presentation, you know? Like, I feel like if Malachi
Yeah.
Black went back and became Aleister Black, it all comes down to the way it's presented. It's the same character. There's just something about it that's
Still had
different.
one of the coolest entrances.
yeah, with that like when he
The
rises
coffin.
up.
No man
So
is ever
sad.
That was
truly
pretty cool.
good.
You're not going to get me to sing on this pod.
It's so good though. Everybody go check out Incendiary if they like that theme song. That's the vocalist of that song. He's in a hardcore band. Literally every song of Incendiary is the Malachi Black theme song. Every song's like so good.
I don't want, if Andrade's really going back to WWE, I don't want him in the LWO. I don't want him with Santos Escobar.
Where
I'd
does he
like
fit in?
Selena to leave and be his manager again, like old times.
Yeah, but like, where does he fit in the card though? Because like, I feel like the main event is pretty crowded
Keep him
right
away
now.
from SmackDown, and he'll be by himself.
Yeah, but even on Raw, it's like, I don't know, what's he gonna go after? Like Gunther, maybe?
He could definitely be in the World Heavyweight title picture.
But you got Punk and Rollins right now.
Yeah, doesn't mean he has to win. You don't have to throw him in right away
Yeah,
with the championship.
like after WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I don't remember ever hearing anything bad about Andrade and Punk in AEW. So
Yeah,
I just sent Tim a picture today, actually, of it was Malachi posted pictures from 2023, and it was like him, Buddy Matthews, and Punk. It was their backs, and they were all like walking through the airport.
oh yeah,
I was like, oh, they were all chilling together in AEW times.
yeah. Well, they're
Kinda
the
cool.
Collision guys.
Yeah, it was probably around then because it was 2023.
Yeah,
Okay, so Miro would end up winning. Lana was like playing both sides, or Lana. What's her actual name?
Perry.
CJ Perry was playing both sides the entire time. And I don't know what's gonna happen with her and Miro now. It's a hilariously confusing story that Miro does. Like, he tries to
Yeah.
be serious, but I can't help but laugh at everything he says about it.
I know. I don't get it. It's
We're talking about that.
I still think this is just a thing.
She is my
I
sexy
still think
wife. She is
this
my
is just
sexy
a thing
wife.
that Miro.
She will sit on my face.
Yeah,
Oh,
Miro and CJ Perry, they just get off on this doing on TV. That's what I feel like they do it for.
yeah.
They just get so
Um,
turned on.
So this match, though, I thought the second half was better than the first half of the match. But I believe Andrade ended up tapping out to Miro in the end.
Yeah. At least that me and Andrade still look good, even though it was the last match.
Mm-hmm. Next match, I didn't like it. I didn't care for it. Tony Storm
Which one?
versus Riho,
It was alright.
Women's Championship.
I didn't think it was bad, but it wasn't like great.
I used to like Tony Storm a lot, and now I'm like, I don't really like how she wrestles.
Well, it's
that
the character that has to keep
Or is this
evolving
the
where
new
it's not
gimmick?
evolving.
Yeah. I don't know. I was a fan of the timeless Tony stuff. Now I'm like, I don't know if I'm a fan of it.
It has to be some new thing to it because she's kind of doing the same thing now, and I'm like, all right, you got to add something new now.
So Tony would retain. I don't know if the Mariah May stuff is going to be like the next person in line, but during the press conference, they talked about Thunder Rosa. She never technically lost the title. I don't think Jamie Hayter lost the title.
They're all the real world's champions.
Yeah, and Thunder Rosa is back, like we talked about last week. So,
yeah.
God, Dustin Rhodes got pissed on Twitter after this match. People were talking shit, and he was like, "Fuck you." And he was like, "No,
we can't have
you
opinions."
too.
He's like,
"No, fuck you." He was like, "Fuck you," and then someone's like, "We can't have opinions," and he's like, "No, fuck you too." So because someone wrote on Twitter like, this match should have lasted 30 seconds, or because basically it wasn't putting Dustin down; it was putting Swerve on such a high level that But so the Keith Lee match got switched around because the doctors didn't clear him because of a knee injury, I think.
Yeah.
And look, Dustin Rhodes backstage. What's the rule? And always pack your gear. You never know. And he took it upon himself. Like, you need someone to fill in. I'll fill in. So good for him.
Yeah.
But so Keith Lee was unable to compete. So his recent tag partner, you can call it recent, Dustin Rhodes stepped in. Rhodes won the last encounter by disqualification. So Swerve is looking to get his win back. Nana during the match would pull up. Well, he would attack Dustin Rhodes before the bell even rang, and then doctors were like, "Don't let him compete." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm competing."
He did that stomp on his ankle through the cinder block, which actually looked pretty good. Like, it looked like it really hurt.
Yeah, so Nana pulled out a cinder block and Swerve stomped Rhodes' leg through it. Then officials helped Rhodes to his feet, and he decided to compete anyway. But it was anticlimactic. It lasted longer than it needed to.
Yeah. And Swerve on the way out, you see, like, he was yelling at the camera.
I feel like if people weren't hyped on Swerve, they might have just nixed the match. But I think people did want to see Swerve in some way, so maybe they kept it around.
Swerve after the match was like, "Don't waste my time again with this."
Oh, and he's like, I'm not waiting around for anyone. He's like, when Keith Lee's back, he's gonna have to work his way up to get to me.
Yeah, he's like, we're not doing that again.
He's like, we're not doing this again. And Swerve thinks highly of himself, and he should.
Yeah,
he should be moving up.
In line. I mean, he's basically a face now. Like, people cheer him. He could be, for Samoa Joe's group. The next world title match.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get this out of the way, guys. This second 8-man tag: Chris Jericho, Darby Allin, Sting, and Sammy Guevara versus Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Takeshita. The crowd did sing Jericho's song. He came out first, which I thought was crazy.
He did,
but unless they were like, get him out there first and then just play music after music after music, like maybe that was their thinking.
Yeah, it wasn't
Um,
completely everyone singing. It was a little bit of booze, but also when the music stopped, it was a lot more booze.
so every time Jericho got in, there was booze. Every time Jericho was hitting anyone, there were booze. Anytime anyone was hitting Jericho, there was cheers. There was NDA
Yeah.
chants. For some reason, there was a CM Punk chant at one point.
Yeah.
Um, there was a sign in the audience that said "Jericho away,"
And then
and
Worlds NDA.
World's NDNA or NDA. um, there was another chant. I forget what it. Maybe it was like "Fuck
Kylie
you, Jericho"
Ray.
or something. Yeah, I don't know.
It was a little bit awkward when he first got in.
Everyone
'cause-
looked angry during the match.
Yeah.
The match itself was a mess, but the tone of it definitely didn't help.
Yeah. Ricky
Sting won
Starks.
this, and I felt bad for Sting because this is like his going away tour of matches. Like
This
this
is-
is the last time he's ever going to wrestle. And
This is also the last pay-per-view before that next the Revolution, which is the last one.
In February, yeah.
Yeah.
He did not look happy. He looked as
Ricky
grumpy, almost as he did during the
Starks-
Jeff Hardy.
Ricky Starks and Jericho work or real?
I think that's real.
The flicking him off.
Yeah.
That's real because he flicked him off, then like turned around like he's like protesting, not wrestling him. So
Yeah, and then he tagged.
That's
yeah,
why I was like,
Hobbs
something's,
tagged in, and
I was like, something's
Hobbs.
weird. That was one of those.
Yeah.
Something's weird because they don't have that kind of beef on
yeah,
on,
right, yeah.
in the storyline.
Tim watched Jericho. Tim watched Jericho walk down, and well, I don't know. They do kind of have that beef in the storyline because it's been the Kenny Omega and him versus. And remember, they attacked him backstage, but I don't know. It's hard
But
to
like
tell.
the way he did it though wasn't storyline. I felt
I was
like
like,
he's like,
oh.
I'm not doing this with you.
Well, I guess he believes the allegations.
Yeah.
If that's the case. Tim was watching Jericho walk down. Tim's like, "Oh, his eyes are puffy. He's had a rough day."
He
Looks like
did. Like he looked not happy.
It looked like there were some tears, and I don't blame him. That's a rough day
Yeah.
if your whole life's probably about to get ruined.
Yeah.
Now, outside of the Jericho stuff in the match, I disagreed with how it ended. I can't believe they had Starks be the one that take the pin. He's a champion.
Yeah, Sammy pinned him, right?
Sammy pinned him. I think Sammy should have gotten the pin. He's returning, but why couldn't you have pinned Takeshita or Hobbs? Why'd you pin one of your tag champions?
Well, if they're gonna do this, which I think is insane right now, but like if they're gonna do Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus them,
That'd be insane. You're like rewarding
yeah. That's like why would you put
behavior before you even like do an
Yeah.
investigation?
like why would you put them into a title feud at all?
Yeah, I wonder if the
But like
discipline.
the crowd did go silent a little bit.
I wonder if the discipline committee's looking into this.
Brian Danielson's ready for it. Everyone's posting like memes or like Brian Danielson's like doing the meditation. He's like, "Come into my office."
The guidelines
My-
don't pertain to Jericho.
Yeah, that's what Jericho's.
Yeah, I don't have a handbook. And then I love how Brian Last like literally sent him like a picture. He's like, "Oh, it's right here," and I guess like he has an inside source who like sent him the actual handbook.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is wild.
So the winners of that match, I don't know if I even said.
I hope one day we can just get back to good in ring action.
It'd be nice.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm very happy this tournament's over. Though, look, for some people, I'm sure they loved it. Just for me, personally,
For what?
For me, the tournament every single week, and I realized it.
Oh, the Continental Classic.
Watching the media scrum. I don't think I like professional wrestling, guys. I think I like sports entertainment.
No, I was about to say.
You think Andy was about to be done? He's like, I'm done now.
I think I like sports entertainment. I think that's what it is. I don't like just watching a wrestling match with no story being told. Because that's just a strictly wrestling fan. The Continental Classic is your wet dream. These are top guys just having great matches, no story. But for me, I'm like, you got to pull me in.
I need something.
See, I I like both. Like I do love storylines, really good storylines, because it pulls you in. But I did like, like I think it's more because I like the way they did the brackets and everything. Because that's more like soccer. Like if you win, you get 3 points, whatever. And so like it gets down to it. Like I don't know. I like those tournaments like that.
And I know a lot of people did. It's just for me. I realized it about myself. Also, besides hating quote unquote Wheeler Yuta, I realized during the battle royal I hate Lance Archer too.
He's barely on TV.
Boo.
And he's not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a
I mean,
fan.
I'm not really even a fan. Like I don't even have an opinion about him at all.
And he's like, why is this guy on my television? Get him off.
Yeah.
Same. I don't know. He gets booked the same way every time, and I'm just.
Then he loses.
Then he loses. Yeah. Terrible back tattoo. Anyway, I'll pick out everything I don't like about people. He's got tattoo heat with me. So does Damien
Tattoo
Priest.
heat.
Hair heat, tattoo
That's
heat.
funny.
Got hair heat with people. I got tattoo heat.
I get hair heat.
All
Cut your hair
right,
too short. I get hair heat.
Julia Hart retained her TBS championship against Abaddon. Fans seem to be behind Abaddon. I'm still kind of like whatever about her.
I mean, they didn't really build her up before this, so it wasn't really ever like a credible.
But televised matches, people seem to be liking her more and more.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the "This is spooky" chant was funny.
There was a "This is spooky" before the action got going. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess two darker characters. But in the end, Sky Blue showed up and knocked Abaddon off the top rope. Didn't have the desired effect though, and Abaddon pulled her out from under the ring and started beating her up, which allowed Hart to score the win with a moonsault because Abaddon was distracted. All right, up until this point, wasn't really a fan of the show. I think
Yeah.
75% of the show was, at least on X, everyone's saying the show was mid.
That was like
they
the
broke their
first.
streak of good pay-per-views,
It was mid, as the kids say.
as the kids say. But I will say the last three matches I enjoyed.
Yeah, me too.
And this next match was the start of it, which I don't know yet if it was. It might be match of the night for me.
Yeah, because
Adam Copeland
Yeah.
versus Christian in a no DQ match, which basically turned into a TLC. But they met for a rematch for the TNT title, which we said that if they were going to do it again, it should be better, which than their first encounter.
yeah,
If you remember with the terrible title belt shot from Shayna Wayne.
yeah.
Edge, I will say, first of all, I think he was wearing the exact
was.
outfit from WrestleMania 20 against Mick Foley.
They said it. They didn't say WrestleMania 20, but they said this is the outfit they wore against Mick Foley.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I looked at it, but I was like, is it the exact same one, like pants, or are they like new pants? But
Yeah,
they look pretty similar. I looked at images. But look, I'm just gonna call him Edge throughout this entire part because it's just shorter.
yes.
Edge attacked Christian during his entrance, which sent Shayna and Nick to hide. Wasn't really a wrestling match. It was more of a fight the entire time. Edge would end up bleeding. I don't remember if Christian did. Just about every weapon was used. There was some stuff with kendo sticks. Edge was welted up by the end of it. They did break out the bar, I guess, support from the chair that Edge had been using in his final run in WWE, with like putting in the people's mouths. They brought that whole thing out.
Yeah.
I liked the match. The ending was terrible. Not a fan. I thought
the first ending was good. I thought.
So yeah, the first ending, Adam Copeland defeating Christian Cage to win the TNT Championship.
Yep. Why can't it just be him standing there with the title? Cut away. That's it.
I don't know. Well, okay, before we get to that, there was it. could have been a cooler spot if it was executed better, but they wanted to recreate the Mick Foley Fire table spot. Fire went out the first time. He had to redo it, pour a lot more lighter fluid on it, and he had to really quickly, Edge did, grab Nick Wayne from the apron and powerbomb him onto the table, but Nick Wayne was too far back on the table, and the table didn't break all the way through. He kind of like flipped over it a little bit.
Yeah.
And Nick Wayne just
like his
sold
butt
it.
hit the fire, and that was it.
Yeah. But yeah, so there was that going on the whole time. They fall into the crowd a little bit. There was some stuff with Christian stomping on Edge's neck, or Edge stomping on Christian's neck to get him back.
Or Christian stomped on Edge's neck on the
Christian
stairs.
also put a chair behind Edge's neck while he was on the ground in the middle of the ring. Okay, so the ending of the match, though. So the Christian delivered, he wanted the table set on fire. Adam had to relight it, powerbomb Nick onto it, and then he hit Cage with his own finisher. Which, do they still call that the kill switch?
Yeah.
Okay, there's too many kill switches.
A lot of kill switches.
To end the match, and Edge would be the TNT champion for 3 minutes total, because kill switch would show up and attack Edge, and he would bring his newly won contract from the Battle Royal, and basically wanted to cash it in like it was a Money in the Bank. Christian stopped him, and after a little bit of convincing and frustration, Killswitch, aka Luchasaurus, gave Christian the contract and hit Edge with a spear and regained his title.
Yep.
Match was great. Post-match stuff sucked. Just my opinion.
Yeah. I feel like
booking.
they could have done this, they could have even done it on Dynamite, and it would have been fine. Because then you have the ending on the pay-per-view.
Tim, thoughts? I was watching this with you.
It was fine. This feud's been.
What about the post-match stuff? The post-match stuff was fun. You did not have that reaction with the post-match stuff.
No.
How'd you feel about the post-match stuff?
I didn't.
What would you have done differently? Just let Christian win?
It just was a mess. The fact that he won and then he lost, I was just like, what is this? Why are they doing this?
Yeah.
That was my question. Why?
This feud has been,
and also
this feud has been unfortunately very disappointing.
And I hope Edge and Christian aren't the one writing it, because if they are, I
feel like those two have a lot of power for.
Well, they've talked about how much they like to put things like matches together and things. I don't know if they're putting the storylines together, but they're probably talking with Tony on it and collaborating.
Definitely,
Tony said during the media scrum, he said he collaborates with people.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like they definitely are.
Okay, so then we have the Continental Classic Finals, Eddie Kingston versus Jon Moxley. Kind of an easy story to tell because they are former quote-unquote friends, at least on AEW. I enjoyed the match up until how it ended. I remember Tim popped back in, and I said, dude, this is how it ended. It ended with a slap fight, and then Eddie Kingston did his spinning back slap and pinned Moxley 1, 2, 3.
That
did he hit it once?
You should have seen Tim's face, dude.
I was like, this sucks.
His face was just like slowly turned to me. It's just like
it was just so it was just so anticlimactic.
It did, yeah. It did have the fact you're like, wait, what? Was it? Did he just hit one? Was that it?
Yeah,
one. I mean, it was a bunch of slaps.
Yeah.
He was kneeling and he worked his way up, slapping, and then he did the spinning back, not fist, but slap.
Well, because he usually, the end of the Danielson match with Kingston was good because he did the back fist thing, and then he also did that power bomb. And I feel like that
Yes.
combination is a good one.
No, not this one. It was just the slap.
Yeah.
You didn't hit the nail into the coffin.
Yeah.
Um.
But it meant
So
a lot to
we
Eddie,
have-
so that was kind of nice to see afterwards, though.
So now Eddie is Triple Crown champion. He has the NJPW Strong. He is the ROH champion, in case anyone forgot, like I did. He's been champion since late September. You don't show it. You don't really talk about it or defend it. I mean, I get it. It's on ROH television, I'm sure. But
Yeah. They also put it during the whole tournament. They did put the titles like on the side, so he didn't walk out.
Why did they put all the titles though? Was the winner supposed to get all the titles?
Yeah, because Eddie put him up for the tournament.
Stupid. Stupid.
I thought it was like unifying all of them, which was I thought the point, because then it crossed 3 promotions or whatever it was.
So what is the new belt called? The Continent, is it called the Triple Crown?
Yeah, I think
Triple Crown Championship. It has a crown on the front. I'm not a fan of the look.
Yeah, I have to see it more. I don't think I like it as much as the other ones.
I mean, the International Championship grew on me. Maybe this one will, but
yeah, the international one I think looks better than this one.
Same with the World Heavyweight ones. Those have grown on me now.
I'll say it afterwards, but they have a new design for it.
For what?
For the World Heavyweight.
These are brand new. It's not even a year old.
No, for AEW.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm talking about like the new World Heavyweight WWE grew on me. Even
those ones aren't bad. I still don't like how they're like exactly the same, but just different belt colors.
I mean, that's laziness.
That's just like their branding,
That's
I guess.
Laziness. Yeah. All right, main event of the night was the AEW World Title match between MJF and Samoa Joe. MJF is legitimately hurt, by the way, but they put him through the storyline, and it's supposed to be coming to the match with a disadvantage. He was all like taped up and had like a brace thing going across his chest. So they were in Long Island. It opened up with people from Long Island talking positively about MJF.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
He hit the ring, and then Adam Cole would come out. Then Joe would come out. So Adam Cole came out in his boot, his cast inside the boot, to cheer on MJF throughout the match. Joe was pretty dominant, I would say. He was in control majority of the match with short comebacks by Max. So I thought the match as a whole was pretty good. It didn't go on too long. It wasn't too short. It was like kind of the right amount of time. Now the ending was weird. I think me and Tim had to rewind because he choked him out. He didn't tap. He didn't get pinned, and so we were like, "What?" It was abrupt
thing. He did the ref did
I almost for a second was like, did Tony Khan just pull a Montreal screw job? Leaving? I was like, what is going on? And in his hometown, just like Brett, like so. I had to rewind and check that. Afterwards, though, Adam Cole tried to comfort Max after Joe was gone. So Joe is the new champion. Congratulations to him. Crowd in Long Island was chanting bullshit up until the masked men for the devil would show up. They would attack Max. There was 4 of them. They would attack Max. 2 of them hold him down. 1 of them hold down Cole. While the 4th grabbed a chair. Cole and MJF both begged them to be hit instead of the other, and then the lights dropped. Pitch black. And finally we have the reveal. They turn back on. It's 4 men sitting behind someone sitting in a chair, and that person sitting in the chair with his head down is Adam Cole, baby. Adam Cole flips his hair up, looks at Max. Then the 4 guys take their masks off. It is Roderick Strong, Wardlow, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett from the Kingdom. Now, I think most people either thought it was going to be Adam Cole or MJF this entire time.
Yeah.
Right? Those were or Britt Baker. Those were the
Oh, we're not doing that again.
Glenn,
yeah. Someone
Shout out
tweeted
to
her
Glenn.
like I thought you were the. Some people
friend
tweeted
of
her
the
like
show.
I thought you were gonna.
Yeah, friend of the show. He had a good reason. Tim, you did not.
Because the
She's not
women's
attacking
division.
the women's.
Because the women's.
The women's division.
But yeah, someone tweeted at Britt Baker like I thought you were the devil. She's like, no, I'm the bully. Remember?
Yeah, she could have a part in this actually.
I guess. But
Just
so Adam
women's
Cole's the
division.
devil. Wardlow for weeks now has been saying he would get back at Max.
And also a big part in the match. Then now when you look back at it, the Adam Cole, MJF went over to Adam Cole, asked for a diamond ring, and then Adam Cole kind of was like, "Oh, where is it?" And he couldn't find it for a second, which then caused Samoa Joe to get, I think, choke him out afterwards.
Yeah, because that was towards the end of the match. So when it's revealed, MJF's sitting there on his knees, kind of crying. And we'll get back to MJF tearing up in a second. Something back from the beginning of the match, but he's basically, what was he saying? He was like, "Not you too, anyone but you," kind of thing. And then he started standing up, and Roddy hit him with a nice knee to the face, dude, and just MJF dropped, dude, and they just beat the shit out of him while Adam Cole sat there. And when MJF was on the ground, Adam Cole got up to him, pulled the devil mask out of his jacket, held it up, and put it on MJF. I thought it was great. I thought it would have been better if Adam Cole had been injured. I assume that this was always the plan of Adam Cole being the devil, but like they had to have the same ending without, like, but with Adam Cole like injured. You know, it's like we'll get there. It's like everything in between though. We can't really do anything with Adam Cole week to week.
Yeah, it probably would have been a little bit different, just the week to week stuff. But yeah, I think they said the entire plan was always Adam Cole.
Yeah, and the entire plan was always to have Samoa Joe win.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no matter what, even if MJF was still healthy.
So, like I said, I was going to mention the MJF tearing up. So, beginning of the match before it started, and the crowd chanting his name, it seemed like he was like getting sad or tearing up, and it gave me and Tim at least the feel that he wasn't going to be there anymore after this.
It was an interesting reaction.
Yeah, I don't think just based off of the past few months, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Well, that brings us to this. So, he did write that whole thing in the Tribune.
Yeah.
Basically saying, you know, he doesn't know what's going to happen over the next 2 days, but just in case he wanted to write his thoughts about AEW. As we found out today, he's been removed from AEW's roster. Now, PW Insider reported that, quote, "No one we've spoken with in the company believes he is actually gone, and this is just storyline playing off his War of 24 stuff that he's referenced forever." I'd also read the other day that he will be taking time off in general to actually heal up.
Yeah, that's probably good.
So they could just be swerving us like they like to do, or I would love to see, and I told you guys, just picture you're watching the Rumble and Punk, Cody, and MJF are standing in the ring just looking at each other.
It would be weird.
That's a holy shit moment right there.
Yeah.
Did Cena say something to him? Is MJF convinced by Cena to go to WWE? I was talking to my friend. I said, look, there's some people that I think fit AEW, and there's other people that I don't. I don't think Cody did, this version of Cody. I think he fits better in WWE. And MJF, in my opinion, is one of those guys that I think fits better in WWE.
See, I don't know if he does.
Gentlemen,
because I don't know if he could do the MJF stuff to what he does in AEW and WWE.
Gentlemen, I actually, dad duty is calling, so I do have to roll. I just wanted to give my classic show of the week. And so It's the classic show of the week. This week is Destination X 2007. The full show is on YouTube, and the matches are the Latin American Exchange with Conan against.
Is this TNA?
Yep, 3D Team 3D. James Stewart and Jacqueline Moore against P.D. Williams and Gail Kim. The Voodoo Kid Mafia, B.G. James and Kip James defeat the Heartbreakers, Antonio Thomas and Romeo Vercelli. Rhino versus AJ Styles, Kurt Angle versus Scott Steiner, Sting versus Abyss, and Christian Cage
Kurt
versus
Angle.
Christian Cage versus Samoa Joe.
Wow.
Alrighty.
Well, also I was going to mention, I feel like TNA is back with AEW. Samoa Joe is the champion. Christian Cage is the champion.
Oh God, yeah. So I mean, we don't have much more to talk about. You said you think MJF. Well, okay, this is my thing about MJF and AEW. He's done so much in his time there. What left is there for him to do? Who's there really left for him to like?
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
I don't want to see him go down and like compete for lower titles.
yeah. Well, he did even mention like this is what I like about MJF. He's very aware of like himself and like his character and everything. He even said that he
Very.
knew that there's fatigue for MJF for the very first time in AEW.
MJF fatigue. Well, it's kind of like I compared ish. Maybe Seth Rollins' one run of being champion where everyone was hyped,
yeah.
and then it's just like people are like, I don't want him to be champion anymore. But up until the
Yeah.
championship, you really wanted him to be champion.
Right.
I just don't know. Like, obviously, if he stays with AEW, you pick up with this storyline.
Yeah.
Does he take time off and come back and Adam Cole round number 2 at All In again?
Yeah. But it wouldn't. I don't know. Like he wouldn't be for the title unless somehow Adam Cole gets it in the meantime.
Adam Cole posted a picture of him sitting in the ring with the guys around him and said, "New year, real me." #hero.
I feel like the people are trying to.
Adam Cole is always better.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Babyface Adam Cole. Always.
People were kind of trashing the faction because they're like, yeah, the guys aren't that great, but I'm like, Adam Cole's going to make it better.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to make the rest of them better.
So, I don't know. I mean, we'll just have to. I really think it can go either way. I'm like 50-50 on like where he's going.
Yeah. I just feel like because they built it up for a storyline of like 2024, that it's the storyline right now. And so they just made me think that it's a work now. But I could be wrong.
Someone posted like how a picture of the Bullet Club beating up AJ on his way out of New Japan, and then showing him show up at the Rumble, and then they showed MJF getting beat up on his way out, and then like
that could be it.
They're like, Rumble's soon, so because when your contract runs out, there's no non-compete.
Right, yeah, that's why like Andrade could show up tonight for Raw.
Mm-hmm. And then
that's actually what Adam Cole did from WWE to AEW.
With that, yeah. And then one other thing I saw. I mean, I disagree with this. Look, I liked the reveal of this. Someone posted a picture of the whole devil being revealed, and they were like, best storyline in wrestling in years. And then they were like, but no, the bloodline. I was like, and they showed a picture of Sammy hitting Roman with a chair. I was like, you're an idiot. All right. Even if you like, all right, don't like WWE, come on. If you don't think that payoff with the bloodline was like better than the devil stuff,
that
I was saying last week too. I was like, if they do not reveal the devil tonight,
I know. Yeah, we were saying that.
Like,
yeah, but that like was it like 4 or 5 month stretch of the bloodline storyline with Sammy? That was probably one of the best.
Chef's
kiss. Yeah.
War Games with him and Jey Uso becoming friends for the first time, and he turned on Kevin. Come on, it was good shit right there. And to say like, oh, but no, the blood, like, no, that's fucking crazy. Do you have anything else to add though? I mean,
No, I think that
Next
was
week,
kind of...
I'll just say what we're covering next week. Raw this week is they're kind of like, I guess you could say, compared to like AEW's Winter is Coming stuff, they're like mini pay-per-views. So Raw is day one, which was used to be a pay-per-view. And then SmackDown is SmackDown New Year's Revolution. And then AEW, I believe, is just regular AEW shows. So we will be covering all shows next week. And I guess that means I have to take us out, right? Because Tim's gone.
I think so. Tim's gone.
All right, guys. As Tim said in the beginning of the show, follow us on social media. Everything is at the PW Fan. And thank you for listening to episode 112. It's good to be back with, well, I can't say all three of us right now, but most of the podcast.
Oh, yeah, for 90% now.
Yeah. So to everyone, thank you for listening, and catch us next week.